when I reached out to you, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of these bigger picture ideas that have been going on, and we haven't talked really since October or the summer. We haven't talked since August.
Yeah, it was in the car. We had that J.J. Abrams lens flare thing going on.
So obviously, let's go back a half a step to the ACC adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU, and notably you at North Carolina came out and kind of shared some of your thoughts, and Kevin Guskowitz did, and we can talk a little bit about that too. But I'm kind of curious, what were some of your conversations like with Kevin about like, hey, why you thought maybe this doesn't work for Carolina?
Well, again, I just think that geography is important, and we're pretty well spread out from Boston to Miami and over to Louisville and through Atlanta and South Bend. But I just didn't think adding schools at this point on the West Coast made an awful lot of sense for us. It's fairly easy for football because you don't play very often. It's a little bit easier for basketball because of the nature of the charter, but I thought all of the other sports, it was going to be more challenging. And it's harder to manage an 18-team league than it is a 15-team league. And so for those reasons, I just didn't think it made sense for us. I felt like there was enough ambiguity in what our future looks like relative to compensation and NIL and paper play, all that stuff. I just felt like staying where we were was a better position. And I understand, the argument against that was, oh, these other leagues are expanding, and if you don't expand, then you're going to be left behind. And if teams leave our league and you go below a different number, then there's different decisions need to be made. I understood all that, but again, I think that's kind of the beauty of what sports is about. What college athletics is today is you can have a different opinion. And, in a case like this, the majority rules. And, now that Cal, Stanford, and SMU are part of the league beginning next year, we're figuring out a way to make that work. So I just had a different point of view on it.
Yeah, you said if teams leave our league, and that's the way that was positioned kind of publicly or through sourced reporting, that this was a move made in anticipation of a Florida State or Clemson or a Carolina leaving the league. Mm-hmm. As someone who's involved in these conversations, you're in the room where it happens. Like, do you get the sense that that's imminent?
Well, I think that what we've heard and what we've seen action on is, there's a financial gap between the television contracts between the SEC and the Big Ten and the ACC. So to try to close that gap, we've created this success initiative that allows some of the schools that are going to compete at the highest level, particularly in football, to help close the gap. So I think that was a step toward it. And I think that's very helpful in that scenario. But I think all of us are a bit uneasy because none of us thought 12 months ago we wouldn't have a Pac-12. And so when you see that, then you're like, oh my gosh, if it can happen to them, it can happen to anybody. So I understand the concern about it, but I don't anticipate it. And if you look back the last couple of years, all of those transitions have been tied to the expiration of their media rights. And so to me, those are the tipping point dates that we need to keep in mind, that's when things would change, probably not until those times.
Although complicating factors now would be Charlie Baker, NCAA president, introducing the concept of a FBS plus, I guess, or a super league, that, hey, look, if you can afford to do X, then by all means get together and do your thing. And this is, you have a pretty rich athletic department, so people would look at North Carolina a little bit differently in this scenario. How did you view Charlie Baker's proposal and what that might mean for North Carolina?
Well, I have to admit, the day it came out, for about 2 hours, I lost my mind and thought that I ran all the math on it, and then I started to really think about it. I can't put, I don't pretend to know Charlie Baker really well. I've met him and I understand the role he has and respect the success he's had. And so then I sat there and said, well, is this real, or are we not getting traction with Capitol Hill? Are we not getting traction with the schools? Are we not getting traction with the conferences? And therefore, I'm going to throw a grenade in the middle of the room and walk out and see what happens. And that's really that's what I concluded, that he is really trying to create a conversation about the future of college athletics. And he put a lot of, I would say, meat on the bone, but a lot of concepts out there that really got you to think. And so to me, that's what I think it was, more so than a plan of saying, hey, this is what it's going to look like, because that's what got me out of my mind. I said, gosh, if this is what it's going to look like. And again, half of our student athletes, that's over 400 kids, $30,000 a piece per year into a trust fund. That's $12 million. And that's before we buy NIL for students. No telling what that cost would be. So, after a couple of hours, I said, wait a minute, there's no way this works. So I calmed myself back down.
Well, so you said there's no way. I mean, TV money's, look, I'm coming at this from, you've known me long enough to know that I'm coming at this from just a talking head perspective. You're actually in there, you're looking at numbers every day. And for me, it's a really easy thing to say. I'm like, you got TV money coming in.
Sure.
You've got a pretty fully funded athletic department that is very, very successful.
Sure.
Does a defensive coordinator need this amount of money? Does a head coach need that amount of money in the grand scheme of things? And there's just a redistribution of where the money goes. Do you need this big fancy building with sleep pods? You know what I mean? Like that's where I start to do the math in my head, and why I don't feel like it's that much of an ask to give players the 30 grand.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you're right. Do we need any of that? No. But is it part of what we do today? Yes, it is. And we talked about, how much somebody makes. I used to make this joke all the time that, I didn't even know, I think it was, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she made $250,000 a year. Judge Judy made $2.5 million a year, but, one had more important job than the other, but that doesn't matter.
Right.
I mean, and so, if that's what the market is for that position, that's what it gets paid. So that is what it is. We've tried to cap salaries in the past, and we lost that lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe we've lost every lawsuit we've ever had. I don't really know.
There's a bad track record when it comes to these lawsuits, Bubba.
and so I think what we have to do is
with their own rules.
What's that?
Says the guy who beat the NCAA with their own rules.
And so I think that we do have to reframe college athletics. I do think the courts are telling us going forward, there's going to be some type of revenue share. There's going to be some type of collective bargaining. And whether that comes from the courts or through Congress, or we negotiate it ourselves, that's on our way. And to your point, if I sit here and just said, okay, that's $12 million, I got $120 million budget, you're going to say, well, that's only 10% of your budget. Certainly you could figure out a way to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. But we also have, 800 student athletes. And that proposal said, okay, I want to treat half of the athletes differently than the other half,
mm-hmm.
which is not something we've ever done before. And do I really want to do that? I mean, we've got 4 kids. I don't really want to treat 2 of them differently than the other 2. Although there's sometimes I think I would, but that's beside the point. And so it would make it different. What impact would that have on Olympic sports? And not just the North Carolina Olympic sports, but the U.S. Olympic sports. And I think all of that has to be factored in, because I've said that before with you guys. I think we play a role in the development of youth sports and the production of Olympic athletes as well.
Mm-hmm. You had Bubba Cunningham, North Carolina AD, kind enough to join us here on the OG on the Easter Automotive Group Hotline. Appreciate you, Lawrence, and Merry Christmas to you. Great. Hope to see you soon. You had one of the great stories of the fall calendar with Aaron Matson and field hockey, and I had read Andrew Carter's great profile, and I'm just kind of curious, when you saw her asking Mack Brown for advice and asking other coaches for advice, like, did you really think that she was going to win this thing in her first year?
No, I really didn't.
Yeah.
And I told her, the day I hired her, I said, look, I don't know how good we're going to be this year. I don't know how good a coach you're going to be, but we're not going to be as good this year as we were last year because you're not playing. And I had no idea that we could win without her. And I do think the thing that was undervalued was the maturity level of the players that bought into her and her leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was phenomenal.
So I was really roommate to
now I'm your coach.
Now I got to listen to you. Yeah.
And quite frankly, you mentioned the roommate. Her roommate, Romeo Ricardo, actually, I think was kind of the glue that kept the team together. It was the link between the head coach and the players that were previously teammates. And I give her a ton of credit.
All right. So I want to to go to the night of the college football playoff selection show. By the way, did you text?
Hey, by the way, I'm the AD at North Carolina, not North Carolina State.
No, I know, but you and Boo were boys, and I was just wondering, like, did you text him beforehand, like, hey man, good luck today, because I know that's going to be stressful. But I am curious when the final 4 teams were produced, what did your phone look like after that?
What did my phone look like?
Were was like the super secret AD text thread just blowing up after that? Like, oh
Panic.
my goodness, what is
The ACC is dead.
The ACC is dead. We got to make a statement. What was the behind the scenes kind of reaction that was taking place within ACC circles?
No, I don't have much for you on this one. I did text with Boo a number of times before the selection, after the selection, because he is a good friend, and those are tough situations to be in. But no, there wasn't a group text. We ADs or the league, we didn't have any of that.
The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, we didn't even do that. It just wasn't. It was uneventful. I'm sorry to disappoint you on that one.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to ask. Because everybody was like, oh my God, what's going on? I was mad about it. I got to imagine that other people in the ACC were mad about it because it looks bad on the league.
Yeah, I mean, still the whole debate, most deserving, best teams. I mean, that just goes on and on. And again, a lot of times everybody used to think that was the best thing about college sports is because it created dialogue and discussion about it, keeping the emphasis high because of those kinds of things.
So let's talk a little bit about football in your football program, because when our last conversation with you was about, okay, basketball, you missed the tournament, you have a reset, you go to Hubert Davis and say, hey man, how do I help you? How do I make this thing right? So what kind of conversations do you have with Mack after now 2 years? Quite frankly, you should have been a whole lot better than you were these past 2 years. And I know that's hard because of your standard at Carolina. As I mentioned, you have a 23-year-old coach winning national titles. You've got, all the success that you guys have had. It does seem elusive in that one sport.
Yeah, it has. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody. It's frustrating for Mack, for the coaches, for the players, especially when we've done it 2 years in a row where we think we're going to be really good. We win a bunch of games early and then we can't finish. And, how do we resolve that? And again, I think Mack has talked about it a lot. I think we all do. I mean, if we had the answer, we would do it. I don't know. Is it like playing in a golf tournament? You got to get there a couple of times before you break through. And maybe that's where we are. I don't know, but it's hard to do that when your team turns over the way it does as well. We're losing a lot of good players. I mean, obviously we thought with Drake this year, we'd be fantastic all the way through, and we struggled late. So yeah, I'm talking to Mack about that. What are we going to do differently next year? What did we do that we thought was going to work that didn't work? I mean, there's just not a simple answer to it.
Bubba Cunningham, Athletics Director, North Carolina. We appreciate the time as always. You don't have anything else, do you? We're doing this live today, so
it's live.
It's live. I can't edit out anything at this point.
Well, next time I get on, I really want to get a fancier background like you guys have.
You can come through studio if you want. You want to come down to Raleigh?
Come down to Raleigh.
We got a chair for you. Lunch on us.
I appreciate that. I'm going to head down to Charlotte today. I'm going down to Charlotte. We've got the women's game tonight, the men's game tomorrow night.
Nice. Well,
I'm going to be paying Mecklenburg taxes here shortly. We've been down there.
That's the thing about Carolina, man. You always got something to win and celebrate over there.
But here's why I really want you to come through, though. Here's why, you were talking about budgets and various other things. Joe's
Lawrence is like a legit CPA.
I know. That's why I'm asking this, because Giglio's the CFO of this LLC that we got going on here. And we were talking about taxes and various other things the other day. And I'm just like, do I trust this man with my taxes? Do I trust this man? And can you do an audit?
You can. Yeah.
Absolutely. I was majored in accounting. I went into public accounting. I was with that Big 8 firm, and I had that illustrious career down there in Atlanta. It lasted 4 months. And
you were like, I got to go to Ball State. I got to get back in this thing, man.
Yeah.
I left before they told me to leave. So that was the first thing I learned.
And then you can help Joe out by emboldening him by saying, see, Ovies doesn't need that new fancy microphone. This microphone's, it's not in the budget. We don't need that. See, because you can tell me, do you really need that? Do you need that? So it all works out in the end.
It looks good. I mean, the microphone versus the headphones, there's a big difference there.
Oh yeah, no, there's I'm a dork when it comes to this stuff. Bubba, we appreciate the time. Safe travels.
We just need Ball State Bubba to come in and help out because Carolina, he's got too much over there.
All the money. He's fine. He's fine. Thanks, Bubba.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.